thanks for joining me today. It's my first Facebook Live here at Crafters Companion HQ. For those of you that don't know me, I thought I'd introduce myself first. So my name's Jan. I'm the newest member of the TV demonstration team at Crafters Companion. Although I have been working for the company for about 2.5 years now. So just a little bit of background to fill you in. I've been part of the ordinary demonstration team for 2.5 years, and up until December last year I was supervisor at our Chesterfield store in Derbyshire. So I know there's one or two of you out there that's probably seen me in store. And I've come today to do a little preview of my first paper crafting show that's coming up later on this month. So I will give you some details of that as we go along. But first of all, you might be thinking, well, I actually seen this lady on TV. I did my very first TV show last week, which was a mixed media show. And I just wanted to say, while I've got the opportunity while I'm live, to just say thank you to you all out there, because I've had some really, really nice feedback. And it's a little bit nerve-wracking, I won't lie. And those first shows were a little bit shaky. But thank you just so much for all the feedback. It's been lovely to read, and I hope I've been able to answer people that have asked questions and things like that. So today, like I said, it's a little bit of a preview. I've got a show coming up on the 15th of March, which is paper crafting, which is what I tend to do more of these days. And I'm going to talk you through the products that I'm going to have on the show. I've got some beautiful samples to show you, and I've got some demonstrations for you as well today, just to show you how easy they are to put together. So what I'm bringing on the 15th of March is part of our creator card range, and it's going to be sets. There are 2 bundles, and it's going to be our easel cards. So I'm just going to pop them here to talk you through them. Make sure we've not got the glare on the camera there. Okay, so there are 2 bundles. There are 3 dies in each bundle, and they are a system whereby you can create your own easel card just by simply using the dies, and I'm going to talk you through that as we go through the demos. So in the first bundle we've got the pretty birdcage one, which you're not supposed to have favourites, but I must admit that is one of mine. And then the next one is the floral design, and then the third one is the swirls. Tried to get rid of that glare for you. Okay, so that's the first 3, so they'll be in a bundle deal. And then the second 3, it's the same concept, it's the same suite of dies, but we've just got different designs there. So make sure we've got rid of that glare. So we've got a floral one, we've got the butterfly one, and we've got the heart as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is just show you a few samples so that you can see what they look like in real life, and then I have got some of them to demo for you to give you an idea of what they look like. So I'm just going to pick 1 or 2 out of here just to talk you through first of all. So this birdcage, as I say, you're not supposed to have favourites, but I must admit this is one of my favourites. And the idea behind them, you'll be familiar with the term easel cards, but this gives you the means of making your own designs. And there are several ways of using them, and hopefully by the end of the hour I'm going to show you some different ways of using the die so that they're not the same each time. I think if you can get a little bit more for your money and something does more than one job, then you're onto a winner. So that gorgeous little bird cage here on this one, so that's one of them. And then putting them together, different colourways, different papers, different cardstock, you get lots of different ideas. So the detail around the edge we're going to have a look at as well. So it's got lots of filigree detail around the edge, and I'm going to show you how that works in a second in the machine. And we'll do another one, it's just another design, similar idea. Okay, so I'll not go through too many at once. We'll pop those to the back of my little collection. Show you a couple of the floral one. So same principle. You can see there we've got a different shape this time and different detail in there. And then on a pastel palette, so again, whatever suits your reasons for making a card. That one's very pale. Are we getting it on there? Yep. Okay, so complete contrast there. And then the third one in that bundle was the swirl. So I'll just show you a couple out of there and then I'll save the others for later. So beautiful purple one there, our company colours. So you've got the swirls on that one, really pretty. And it just needs something here to anchor it, to give you that stopper, and lots of different ways of doing that. This one's in gold, that one looks really luxurious. Okay, and then a nice colourful one there as well. So you can see that they're all following that same format. And I'm going to show you now how these actually work. So we'll move on to our first demo and I'll show you a little bit how that concept goes together. So I'm going to work with the one that I said was my favourite, of course, first. I'm going to work with the birdcage one first. So I'm going to show you what's in the package, so what you get for your money. There's quite a lot of metal in these designs. I'll undo it on here and lay these out because we're going to need to use some of these for our demo. So you get 2 outlines, and each different set of dies has got a different shape, and then you get elements that you can cut that detail in, and you can see the birdcage part there. And then there's also some little tiny extra embellishments that you can cut as well if you want to. And then the little piece that you sometimes overlook right at the bottom is quite an important piece. I'm going to show you how to use that in a second. So let's just pop these to one side, and the first thing I need is the largest of the outline dies, and then this little piece that I said don't forget. I can never pick it up. Alright, so this is going to give me a score line which actually helps to fold that card base. Pull it back a little bit. So you need a fold at the front there, and this is going to put it in when we put it through, pop it through our Gemini. So this is the one that I'm going to make for you. Okay, and I've got some bits and pieces prepared ready. I'm using my big Gemini today. I did actually use the Gemini at home when I was preparing, but the good thing about all of these dies is that they will fit through your Junior as well. So if you've got the Gemini Junior, don't be put off, all right, because they will still fit on that that platform. So I'm going to line these up now, and all I've done is cut a piece of cardstock that measures, it's A4 in length, and then I've cut it just under 6 inches wide. And this is what's going to make my base card. So I'm going to keep it double, and rather than just cutting out a simple shape, I want to actually overhang my die over the edge of the card. So I want to keep a little element of this fold in place. If I cut this out, I'd get 2 simple shapes. But by hanging it over the edge of the card here with the fold, it's going to keep some of that intact. And this is where our lovely new low tack tape comes in, because I don't want anything to move. So I'm just going to centre that on there with a little bit hanging over the edge. It doesn't have to be a lot, as long as you've got a bit left. And I'm going to tape that down so that it doesn't move out of the line. And then the piece that I said not to forget fits perfectly in between the centre part of the die. And again, plenty of tape on here because I don't want that moving. Now the edge on this part of the die is slightly shallower than the rest, which means that we're just going to create a score line and not a cut line. So the outside shape here will cut, the inside bit will just score. So I'm going to cut through onto my clear cutting plate, and because it's just an outline die, it doesn't need too much pressure. So I'm just going to use my plastic shim on this instance, and then my top cutting plate, I've omitted the magnetic shim. Doesn't need too much pressure to cut an outline die, and remembering that I only want that line to emboss and not cut through. So just popping it through my Gemini, and like I said, it will fit through the Junior as well. So if you've got our Gemini Junior, you can still utilise these dies. And what that's done is cut me out that shape. I'm just going to take off my tape again now and save it, because I'm a little bit skimp. I like to get as much use as possible out of my tape. Those of you that have seen me demoing before know that I make my tape last nearly all day long until I throw it away. And you can get this now on our handy little dispensers. So just get rid of those bits and pieces that we don't need, and I'll show you how this is cut when we've got the tape, taking the tape away. It's good stuff. So pop those on there for later. So if I take my die away now and remove the outside elements, I've got the lovely shape of the die, she says, there we go, and just a little bit out of the centre. Get rid of that piece. And if I show you that now, you can see the little flat piece at the top where it's actually omitted the edge. That means that it's still got a fold in it now. So you've got the beginnings of a card. So you could just make a simple little tent card like that. These are a great idea for making your own card bases. But the piece in the middle that we used as a score line is what I'm going to do to make my easel. So you can see there the beginnings of that easel card taking shape. So in true fashion, I've actually prepared a little bit of this in advance. So if I just move over to the one that I've done, and all I've done is exactly as I've shown you here, and I've popped a little tiny bit of ink around the edge of here, okay, and I've cut using the next die down. So I said there were two outline dies, a piece of design paper, and this is from our new peony collection. I don't know whether you caught that on TV last week. I absolutely fell in love with this, so that's where the paper's from if anybody wants to know. And that's going to sit in the base of my card. Okay, so I'm just going to turn that round and stick that one in. I'm going to use our Collal glue, which is my favourite go-to glue. So if ever I'm working with paper and cardstock together, it's nearly always my Collal. So just a little bit of that. You'd be surprised how little glue you need. And then I'm going to pop that in the centre there, and it just leaves a nice little border. And the beauty of the Collal is you've got about a minute, so you can give it a wriggle if it's not in the right place before it actually sets in place. So that's going to be the base part of our easel card. And then what I've done is I've used the largest one again to cut me another piece. So where I showed you this folding in half, we're then going to add this piece to the front, and you can see that easel card starting to take shape. So fairly simple so far, nothing difficult there. And then we need to cut the detail that's going to go into the front of the card. So let me just pop those to one side for a second, and I'm going to grab my plates back, and this is a perfect opportunity to show you the magnetic sheet in use. So when you've got dies like this that come in sections, it's a good idea using this one. I'm shuffling now, aren't I? I want the base plate, the white plastic shim, and then my magnetic shim. And what I'm going to do is use the inside one, so not the largest of the outlines, the next one down, pop that on my magnetic shim, making sure that the cutting side is face up. I think we've all had accidents where we've cut through our magnetic shim, but make sure that that cutting blade is facing up. And then the two pieces that make up the design just nestle inside here. And by using the magnetic shim, you can actually wriggle these into place, and they meet at the top here and at the bottom. And then I've got a nice even border all the way around the edge. So I'm going to pop my piece of cardstock over the top of there, use one of my bits of tape just to make sure it doesn't move, and this is going to cut through the cardstock into my cutting plate. So we'll pop this through the Gemini again, and that's going to cut out all that detail, and that's going to give me a topper that will fit on the front of my card now. So it's doing its work there, all through those cutting points, and remember, it does fit through the junior as well. So I'm just going to have a little look and see how we've done there. So if I take that top plate off, you can see on here, I always say to people that it should look as if you've drawn the image on the back, and if you can see that image, then you know that you've got a good cut on there. So I'm going to get rid of my tape again, that's done its job again. And that piece has done its job. And then this is where I like to use our die brush. And again, we've got our lovely Crafter's Companion purple. So I'm going to get rid of the outside piece. And then if you just pop it on the sponge and just gently give it a rub over with the die brush. Two things, it helps to release the die. So if you've ever had problems taking your die off and it's snagging your design, it helps to bring this out of the die. And also it helps to take the bits out as well. So you don't have to sit there for ages popping all the bits out with your pokey tool. So just a gentle rub over the top, remove your die, pop those to one side out of the way, and then you've got the waste part to come out. Now what I find, and I have done with most of it, is there's usually a little tiny bit at the bottom, and if it hasn't quite cut, all I'm going to do with my scissors is just snip that bit out just at the bottom there, so that I can I would do if my scissors were working. There we go. So that's all waste, that can go down there. And if there is any little bits left in, you can either go in again with the die brush, or you can pop them out with your pokey tool, whichever is your preferred method. And you've got that lovely, if I hold it against the black here, you've got that lovely detail. Okay. So again, I've gone ahead and done a little bit of work on this one, but I just wanted you to see how that came together. So if I bring in the one that I've done at home, I've added a little bit of ink to it again. And out came my sparkle pens at this point, because there's a lot of detail in here that you can add some colour to. So I've just coloured the leaves with the sparkle pen, and then I've recut the bird cage in some craft card and just applied a little bit of gilding wax. Okay, and then I've popped some tape on the back, and then we've just got a bit of construction left to do to pop it together. So on my front piece, remember I said this was going to be the front of the card. Excuse me. I'm just going to take the tape off the back of my foam and then add this onto the front there. And when I was playing around with this at home, you can go straight with it, and it also looks quite nice if you actually offset it as well, so you can do two different ways with it. If I just bring that on top of my black mat, you might be able to see it a little bit better. So it lines up perfectly to go straight on top to make a matten layer, but if you twist it, you're just getting another look. So again, you've got options there. I'm going to keep it straight today, and I'm just going to layer it over that outside one to give me an extra matten layer. And then the secret behind this is to remember, when we're sticking it together, is only to stick it to that bottom section. The number of times I've got a bit giddy, put my glue all over here and realise that I'm only sticking half of it. So the way I get round that is just to put glue on the bottom of this piece. And that reminds me then that I only need to do half of it. So a little bit of collal again. I'm going to lay it flat. This lines up beautifully, just making sure that my bird cage is the right way. And because we've used a die, you've got that knowledge in knowing that it's going to fit on there perfectly. And then just get it lined up. You've got that wiggle room to make sure it's in the right place. Hold it for a second or two, and then you can see this coming together nicely. Okay, so with any easel card now, we just need a stopper at the bottom to stop it sliding. So I've also got on the show some of our wording dies as well. So they'll be available on the 15th when we do the show, and I've used those to create, in this instance, a happy birthday. And again, I've popped a little bit of tape on the back just so that it raises it slightly, and it's going to create us that stopper. So that bit's going to go at the front. So if I open this up and just literally pop that across the front there, that's enough for that to hide behind and allow it to stand up. And then I'm going to use our glue gun just to pop some little decorative elements on. So I've just cut some flowers out with one of our dies. Is it going to play? There we go. I'm just going to turn it round so that I can see. So one on there. And these are one of our flower dies that I tend to just keep out on my desk. And it's handy there. Pop some pearls in the centre, and you can decorate with anything that you've got lying around in your stash. So last one there can go at the bottom. So you've got a little bit of embellishment going on there, and that's our finished design there. So that's number 1 complete. Alright, so that's the birdcage die, which is in the first bundle of 3 sets of creator card dies. So I'll pop that one out at the front there. Alright, so just get rid of some of the bits, and then we're going to move on to another example, but I'm going to show you a few more of the samples first. Alright, so I'm going to pop that to one side and I can sort that out later. And we looked at the birdcage and the swirls earlier. So I'm going to show you the butterfly one. Show you a couple of those. This is beautiful. So again, you've got some really, really nice detail on that one. You can see how it's all matted and layered, and those dies let you do that. You've got the facility to mat and layer them with the different sizes of dies. And again, we've just used a ribbon at the bottom this time to create that stopper so that it stands up on its own. And then if you're anything like me, a bit of a pink girl, you've got some pink glitter card going on there. Again, we've chosen a ribbon at the bottom of that one as the stopper. It could be anything. It could be a set of flowers, it could be buttons at the bottom, it could be one of the extra die cuts, just something raised so that it gives you that little bit of a stopper to stop it falling down. And we've also got on the show the heart one as well, which is really pretty. So again, weddings, anniversaries, Valentine's Day. I know that's just gone by this year, but same principle, different shape. So again, this one has got a see-through element in here, and I'm going to show you how to do that on my next demo. Lots of people have asked me when I've been out and about demonstrating how you achieve that, and again, it's much more simple than you think. And this is what I like about these dies. It allows you to be able to make elaborate designs, but really simply just breaking it down into stages, and that's what I'm going to do with our next demo. So I'll show you another one of those. Again, I think we've got a just married theme, just done in white with a little tiny touch of gold. Really, really elegant on that one. And then the next one is a Mr. and Mrs. as well. So this is a die from one of our older collections, just with a bit of pink in there. So you don't have to use all the detail. You can pick and choose as much of it as that out of the die as you want and create it as you go. So don't forget, I'm going to be bringing these to you on the 15th of March, and that's at 1 o'clock UK time. So we're going to be live at Create and Craft with those, and I shall have some more demos for you that day. But I'm going to move on to my next demo now. So let's have a little look. I'm going to show you the butterfly one next. So I'm just going to clear some of these pieces to one side, and then I can show you what I've done with the butterfly one. And this one has actually got the see-through element in it. So I'm going to show you how to cut it again, because I think that's quite an important part of it, just to make sure that you've got that base card right. And then also how to create that element with a see-through aspect this time. So again, just like we had before, I've got a piece of A4 card that I've just cut at about 6 inches to fit my die on. Just need to find my little butterfly die hiding in here. And just to show you again, we've got the similar format. Just twist that little bit for you. So you've got 2 outside dies, just slightly graded to give you the matting and layering, and then 2 pieces for the inside, and then you've got that little tiny piece, if you remember, that was really important to give you your score line. And if you forget to do that bit while you're die cutting, you can always score it on a scoreboard afterwards, so it's not the end of the world. I have occasionally forgotten to put that piece in, so just score it in half on a scoreboard if that's the case. So first of all, I'm going to take the biggest of the 2 outside dies, and just like we did before, I'm going to work directly onto my cutting mat on this occasion. I'm going to pop the die onto the card, and this was the bit where I said you needed to remember to just hang it over the edge slightly so that you keep some of that fold intact. And it's the same every time you use these dies. You just need that little bit overhanging so that you've got part of the fold of the card left. And then I'm going to add the score line in, and this one's shaped to just fit inside nicely, so a couple more bits of my tape, and it just fits in there. The points just line up with that central part, and again, because I don't want it to move, a little bit of tape. Tape's definitely your friend with these dies. So that's going to cut straight through both layers, no problem with the Gemini. So I just need to get, remember we said the outline die, there was sufficient pressure to just use our plastic shim, and then our top plate, and away they go through the Gemini. So this is going to create the base of the card again, and I love the fact that you can create your own designs instead of having to just use shop bought ones or just plain squares that you've cut out. Gives you a little bit more freedom to do the design. So take the tape away again. And it is worth doing. I have tried myself to do them without the tape, and you end up with a little bit moving and you waste the card and you have to start again. So to be honest, it's just worth taking that time and taping it down. Gives you a bit better result each time. So pop that tape off, we can lift out the score part, and then again take that one away, and we have got our base card there. I'm going to get rid of that part, and like I said with the other one, you need that straight part intact. You see the straight edge here and the straight edge here, which means that when I open it, it's going to create me that card base again. So like we said before, you could just decorate it like this as a tent card, but by putting the score line in, just as we did before, it's started the basis of our easel. So then we're going to construct it in exactly the same way as we did the first one, but I'm going to add some extra detail at this point. So if I show you what we're working towards, this is what we're going to make. I'll pop that one here. And you can see how it's got a see-through element. I popped a little bit of acetate in just to give it some strength, but it's matched up perfectly with the back of the card. So because you've got those dies again, you can work directly onto the cardstock and line them up to give you this design, and it's a really clever way of using the dies. So I'll just pop that one back and show you how we're going to do it. So on the piece that I've just cut, I'm going to work onto this piece now. So on the fold here, I want to cut in the detail to match the front of the card. So I'm going to work onto my cutting edge again. No, I'm telling you fibs, I'm going to work onto the magnetic one. Because this, again, it's a great way of getting the dies in the right place. All right, so we need the inside. So just if you're not sure, just double check them. the smallest one of the two, and then I'm going to use the decorative pieces, which include the butterfly and then the other side. And you might be asking, why have they done that in two separate pieces? And that's a really good question. I've not touched on that. If for any reason you wanted to leave out the butterflies, so let me just lift this one up again. You might want to just do a decorative edge like this. So you can cut this element, and then when it's passed through the Gemini, reuse this side of it on the other side and just make a single frame. So you might not want the butterflies in on that occasion. So just by running this one through twice, literally cutting it once like this, and then the second time through, you would just flip it round and it would match up beautifully with the piece that you've cut, and just cut yourself a square frame out. But on this occasion, we're going to do it with our butterflies in. So I'm just going to meet those together where the dies, and it's just important to get this bit together and to get this bit together. And as I say, this is why the magnetic sheet comes in really handy. You've just got a border around the outside, and then I'm going to die cut this into the front of the card. So I'm just going to make sure I've got it the right way up. I need the butterfly at the bottom, and I'm going to pop that into there. Okay, so tape it into place again because I don't want it to move. And just looking at that, I think I've used the smaller of the two dies, but we'll have a look and see if it works. See, I'm trying to get my tape and it's been naughty. Just going to tape it in place, and this one's now die faced up. It's going to cut into my mat, and I'm going to run that through the Gemini. And what we're aiming for is the piece that looks like this. So this is where we're working towards. So I've actually cut that out of the front of the die. So I'm just going to open this up now, and I think, as I say, I think I used the wrong die at the beginning looking at it here. Pop it on here. I used the smaller of the two when I should have used the bigger one, so it's a good job I've done a little bit of prep in advance. Yep, I'm going to ignore that bit. It's a good job I've got one that I did earlier. But if I just take this one off here, you can see how it's cut that lovely detail into the front of it. And again, like we did before, if it's not quite got it at the end, just use your scissors and snip that little bit away at the bottom. All right, you can see, but this should have been in my card base. So my apologies, I'd not took my own advice and I've used the wrong set. So it should look like this. You should have it cut into the card base, and I still had my score lines in from the beginning. So we've now got an element that looks like that. Okay, so let me just get rid of some of these bits off the plates. Finished with those. Just get rid of those, pop those to one side for a minute, and I'll show you how we can construct this. So similar to what we did last time, I've got some bits and pieces that I've already cut for you. So a sheet of paper using the inner die to go at the bottom, and then I've cut the frame again using, make sure I get the right one this time, there we go. So using the inside one and that detail, you can see there how I've cut that out again. And this is going to be the front of our card. And all I've done is stuck it to a piece of acetate. You can see that catching the light there. Okay. And that's going to line up now perfectly on the front of here over the design that we've cut into the back. You can see that there. We can line it up perfectly like a matten layer, but it will line up with the one that we cut into the back of the card. And that's what gives you this see-through element. And don't forget, whenever you're making your easel cards, they will always fold flat to pop in the post for you. So I'm just going to stick this one on, and I'm going to use for speed this time, rather than the collal, we'll just use a little bit of tape pen. Normally at home I do tend to use my Collal glue, and again it gives you that bit of room for manoeuvre, but your tape pens do just the same job and are nice and quick and simple to use. And then on the front here I only want a little bit of glue around the bottom part of the frame, so I only want to stick it at the bottom, and because we've used a die we can line it up perfectly over the detail underneath, and that gives us that see-through element. So just to stick that on there, and we've got our card there. Okay, remember we said we needed something at the front to stop it sliding, although that one is standing up quite well, but I'm going to put a little bit of something at the front, and all I've done is pop a couple of the butterflies that I've cut out with the extra embellishments, little bow. So I'm going to pop those on with my hot glue gun again today, because that keeps it nice and dry. So hopefully a little bit of glue on the back of the bow, and that can sit on the front here. Not used to working upside down, new skill. And then I've cut a pink butterfly which is going to go on the front of here, and then I've cut another one in craft which is going to just go on top of the bow at the bottom there, just as a little bit of extra detail. And if you do get strands from your heat gun, I know lots of people have said to me when I've been demoing, oh, I don't like the little hairy bits that you get from the glue gun. Just a little tip for that: if you use a heat tool, just gently, when you've finished, it dissolves all those and gets rid of them, so you don't have to worry about trying to get them off your card. And then you've got that lovely see-through design, and like I said, it will fold down flat for you to pop in the post. So that's demo number 2. And I'm going to have these with me when we do the show. Alright, so I'm just going to pop these to one side again, and then I can show you a few more samples, I think, before we go on to the next one. I have got another demo for you. Pop you that one at the front there. So pop all those together, and I can tidy all those up at the end. So we've got quite a few now that we've not seen already, so let me just grab some of these out of our... And this is a really pretty one as well. Just I want to show you this one because this is using them in a different way. So same principle, you've got that stopper there to hold it up, but this has got some stamping in the back of it. So you can see there where this is an example of using the same side of the frame. So we've reversed it and done the same at the other side. So it's just made a really pretty frame, little bit of stamping in the back, so they can be as simple or as elaborate as you want them to be. Decorate them up as much as you want, keep them nice and simple if that's your thing. And then we've looked at the birdcage ones. This one looks as if it's had a little bit of colour added to it, so we've got some I think some sparkle pens making an appearance there. And again, you can just see where it's catching the light. I don't think it's there, look, you can just catch it. It's got the acetate in the back again. So it just gives it a bit of strength, but giving that illusion that it's see-through. It's a very, very clever concept. And then I've got, I think we saw the pastel one, so we'll have a look at some of the swirls. Gorgeous sparkle pens again here. Really, really pretty. So that's got the full swirl in that side rather than just the plainer part of it, and we've used some flowers as the stopper at the bottom. And then in pink, pretty in pink, just a note to say, and the little flourish at the bottom here that we've used as the stopper is one of the extra parts of the embellishments in that particular set of dies. And then we've got the rose one on the show again, so that's part of the bundle. So this time we've just embossed the piece at the bottom, and then use the frame up at the top to give you some detail. Little bit of colour behind there, bit of paper piecing going on in that one, so you can cut it in a different colour and add them back into the die. Okay, and then just one more of the hearts. Lovely black and gold, that one looks terrific, very striking. And again, the little hearts at the bottom are one of the embellishments in this particular set. And then you've got that lovely cut out detail at the top. So I think we can probably just squeeze one more demo in, because this one's quite straightforward, it's not too difficult. And then I've just got one more that I want to show you at the end. I won't actually demo it at the end, but just to give you another way to use these as well. So this one, if I bring this one into view here, I've not gone the whole caboodle with this. I've relied on some of the design papers, and I believe, if I'm correct, this one's from our vintage tea collection, and I wanted to keep some of this showing, so I've just used half of that scroll detail on this one for the swirls rather than doing a full frame. So like I said, you can build it up as much or as little as you want, and I've done some prep ahead. So I've shown you how to do the background of the card. So again, I started out with my piece of cardstock. We've cut through that on a couple of occasions now, so I'm going to skip that bit and show you the one that I've already started. So again, we've just got that little flat edge, and this is the key to it, just to make sure that you've got that flat piece there and not cut out the whole shape. And then the score lining gives you the fold to start the easel. I've cut out a piece of design paper, again with the second layer down, and just gives you that matten layer to go at the bottom. And then I've created a topper for it this time. Again, just in a different colourway. It's the same paper pad. If you remember, the one that I showed you at the beginning was in pink. So it's the same paper pad, but just in a different colourway. You can embellish as much as you want, and I've just used a couple of little flowers at the for the stopper on the bottom of this one. So we'll just stick this in together. So again, glue of choice, whether you want to go with the Calal, whether you've got your own preference of glue. Tape runners are nice and quick, but like I said earlier, the Calal just gives you that room just to wiggle it around if you need to and get it in place before it sets. So if you're not quite confident fitting things straight down onto your cards, just gives you that little bit. And again, even though I've pressed it down, there's just still that bit of movement in it to get it into the right place. And if you do get any on your card, just give it a rub and it rubs away without leaving any residue on there. So again, the little tip for sticking this to the front, don't get carried away and cover the whole of the back of your piece with glue. And the way I remember doing that is to just add it to the front of the card. So I'm going to pop the tape pen across here. It wants to be nice and sealed, and because I've used the die, it lines up perfectly. So I'm going to stick that to the bottom there, and then all I've done is used a little bit of wording. If you remember, I said I've got some wording dies on the show again, and that show's coming up on the 15th of March. So if you can join me that day, it'll be my second visit to the land of TV, but my first visit as far as paper crafting is concerned. And then I've used some little pearls from my stash just to embellish those swirls. They were crying out for a little bit of attention there. And for the stopper this time, I've just got a couple of little flowers, again just die cut, and I'm going to pop these at the bottom here so that it holds it open. So I've just cut those at the ready. We'll pop a little bit of hot glue on again. Make sure we're lined up. So all our new core tool range is out now, so those are available as well for anybody that's interested. So I'm going to hold that in place and just decide where I want to put those flowers. And then the second one. Little bit, doesn't need a lot of glue on there, just a little bit, and then pop that one a bit higher up so that it gives that easel something to sit behind. So that's our sample there. So again, as elaborate or as simple as you wish to do. Like I said, with this one, I wanted the paper to do some of the talking. So rather than using the second half of the flourish of the swirls, I've just used one side of it and stuck it on top of the paper. So you don't have to use both sides if you don't want, and you can also use two of the same side. So whether it be two of the detail or whether it be two of the plainer side. So the last one, I'm not actually going to demo this, I'm just going to show you this one. But just as an extra, as a bonus, if you remember at the beginning I said that I like things you could get more for your money. It doesn't have to be an easel card. So this was the heart design and I've just used it as a topper. So it's an ordinary card blank that I've used. Just 7x7 card blank. I've matted and layered and then just used that decoration from the die to make a topper for that card. So you don't have to do a full-blown easel card. You can just decorate the fronts of your cards as well. So I'll leave that one out as well at the front there. So I think just before, we've got a little bit of time left, I'm going to go through a few more of the samples because there's so many of them. It's a shame not to show them all. So don't know which ones we've done and which ones we haven't now, but we'll go through these. So the butterfly one again there, this was a really, really nice one. I like the idea. The sentiments, one of our sentiments out of one of the collections, being cut out of funky foam this time, just to give it a little bit of dimension. So quite a lot going on there. So like I said, you can embellish as much as you want or as little as you want. It's got a proper shabby chic look to that one. I really like that. That's very much my style. And then, like I said again, if you don't want to use the die, the decorative elements of the die, just use those outline dies to give you the shapes, and then really pretty design papers and a lovely little cluster of flowers at the bottom there for that one. So you've got two very different looks there. If I just bring that last one back in, it's the same set of dies, but two very, very contrasting designs that you can do with the dies. So make them work for yourself, make them work for your occasion that you're making a card for. I think we saw the pink glittery ones, but I'll just pop that one into frame again. So that's using glitter card on that one. So it's a nice white frame, decorative papers, and then the butterflies are cut out of the pink glitter card on that one. And then that lovely, this has almost got like a Moroccan theme going on here. So that turquoise and gold going on there, and the butterflies, the little wings lift out. So if I just use my pokey tool there just to get them, you can see how they come out of the frame, and that's part of your die cut to give you that 3D element. See what else we've not had a look at. I started off lovely and tidy, and as I've gone on I've just got more and more untidy. It's just like my desk at home. So the swirls one again, got black base, adding a bit of colour with the sparkle pens there. So really dramatic on that one. So it can either be as soft as you want or as bold. The black and gold, a really classic look on that one. So that's the swirls one again. That's part of the first bundle. And then that lovely purple one, that was really nice. So you can't go wrong with them really. Whatever colourways you choose, whichever design you choose, you're going to get a really good result with them. And then just the last few of the hearts, and then I think we've gone through most of them. So again, you've got that see-through element in this one. We've got that just married one that was all done in white. Oops. With just that little touch of gold. So that'd be lovely for either a wedding or it could be an anniversary one. And then we've got that lovely Mr. and Mrs. there using the whole set of those dies. So this is the same die as I actually used as a topper when I did my design here. So this is the actual concept of making the easel card, but you can actually use it just on the front of a card. So I think I'm just about sorted for the day. I'd just like to say thank you to everybody for joining me today. Hope you've enjoyed what I've had to show you, and I'm really hoping that you can come and join me when I do my show on Create and Craft. So 15th of March, 1 o'clock, and I will bring these dies to the TV so that you can get your hands on them and have a play at home. So thank you very much for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.